How do you get your CCNP in 2020? And I'll give you a hint. If you're in 2019 right now, get your CCNP now, before 2020. If it's already after, we're going to cover that too. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Network Chuck. In this video, we're talking about the CCNP, the Cisco Certified Network Professional, one of the best IT certifications out there to get. Seriously, the best. And Cisco revamped all of them. Well, not yet. It's all going down February 2020. To be exact, February 23rd, 2020, a day I lovingly called Certpocalypse. And with these changes, Cisco has made the CCNP crazy valuable for us. Like, I'm more excited about the CCNP than any other certification right now. And that's what we're covering in this video. Now, when I say Cisco changed the CCNP, they took it and turned it upside down. Every one of the CCNPs out there is different now. And that's a lot. That's heavy. So to help me explain that, I've got Yusuf Baiji, the head over Cisco certifications, his guy Joe Clark, and the godfather of network programmability, the one, the only, Jason Gooley. They're going to jump in here every once in a while and help me out with explaining what the junk happened to our certifications, and really why it's exciting. So we'll go over the changes, how to get your CCNP, why you should get it right now if you're watching this in 2019, and we'll also talk about how our roles are changing, because with the new CCNP, Python, network automation, is it going to be a huge part of it? Are you going to be required to know programming and Python and all that crazy stuff? We'll talk about that too. And I'll just spoil it for you. Oh my goodness, it's a huge part of the new CCNP. Every single track, I'm so excited. Automation and Python is going to be huge, and I'll detail more on that later, so keep watching. Now, real quick, I understand some of you may be watching this and going, I don't know what the CCNP is. 10-second overview. It stands for Cisco Certified Network Professional. It is a professional level cert. When you first start out learning networking, you typically get your CCNA, the Cisco Certified Network Associate. That's the base level. And then you move up to the professional level. And that's what we're talking about here. This certification holds a ton of weight in the IT industry. You should definitely get one, if not multiple. And in a lot of cases, not every case, but in a lot of cases, it can replace a degree, a 4-year degree. I don't have a degree, and I've been a network engineer for a while. But anyways, let's get into it. And also, if you like what I'm doing here, you want to support my mission, please subscribe and hit that like button on this video so more people can see it. Hit that bell icon so you know when I post videos and you'll be alerted. And also, if you want to help me do more of this, I do have a membership community now where you can join. There's a join button right below this YouTube video. Becoming a member of my YouTube channel helps me do more of this. And the more support I get, the more videos I can make, right? Okay, new CCNP, what changed? Everything changed. And let me explain first how you can get your CCNP with the new CCNP model. And to start explaining that, I'll tell you what you no longer need, which is kind of crazy, actually.
I want to go get my CCNP. I don't have to go get my CCNA anymore first.
That's crazy.
That is a huge change.
Yeah.
That is a huge change. And the reason that is because we saw, from an industry perspective, there are different levels. Why should you have to go through this ladder approach?
So before you could jump to any CCNP track, you had to have the CCNA. So if you want to become CCNP routing and switching, you had to have your CCNA routing and switching. If you wanted to take your CCNP security, you had to have your, any guesses, CCNA security. This is no longer the case. You can jump to any CCNP certification exam, pass that exam, and get credit for it. In fact, I think across the board with any Cisco certification, you can jump to any. So if you have no certification under your belt at all, you can jump to any Cisco certification, barring the CCIE lab, which has one prerequisite. But everything else, dude, go for it. It's amazing. I'll explain why it's really amazing here in a bit. So theoretically, you could skip the new CCNA, which if you don't know about the new CCNA, they changed that too. I got a video for that, card up there, link below. Theoretically, you could skip the new CCNA and go straight to CCNP, although I wouldn't recommend it. There is knowledge that the CCNA has that you'll have to bring with you to the CCNP. Anyways, so with our new CCNP, we have 5 tracks. I'll let Joe from the Cisco certification team tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so there are 5 technology tracks. So remember, there was one CCNA, but with the CCNP, there are 5 tracks: enterprise, service provider, data center, security, and collaboration.
So just, can I ask a very basic question? How many exams do you have to take to become CCNP certified?
2.
Okay, so new CCNP tracks. No matter what CCNP you go down, 2 exams every single time. A lot better than the 3 at minimum for the old ones, and even 4 sometimes. So that was a lot.
Within those technology tracks, you have a technology core exam, something that regardless of where, we'll talk about concentrate later, where you choose to concentrate, every CCNP engineer within that technology track, these are foundational skills that they need to have at the level that they need to know them.
So each track has its own specific technology
Each
core.
track has its own specific technology core, and then you take the technology core and you pick one of the concentrations within your track that gets you to be CCNP.
This is where the CCNP gets interesting because you can decide what type of CCNP you want to be with each track. So for example, if I wanted to be CCNP security, I could be a different type of CCNP security than someone else who got a CCNP security. That might sound like just mumbo jumbo, right? But let me explain. So one of the exams you're required to pass before you can get CCNP certified is called the core exam. You must take the core exam. Each of the CCNP tracks, from security to enterprise to whatever, has a core exam. That one you don't have a choice in, you have to take that one. So there's an enterprise core, there's a security core, there's a data center core. And then the next exam, you've got options. You can choose from a list of exams. And that is really, truly where it becomes super interesting. I love the way Jason Gooley puts it. I'll let him tell you real quick.
It's almost like a choose your own destiny, which I think is so cool.
Everyone said adventure, but you went
Destiny, you know?
Better than pick and mix, because that's
Right.
another term I've heard.
Yeah, pick and make. Yeah, I like
you're
I like
shopping at a
choose your own
convenience store.
destiny, you know?
So each of the CCNP tracks has their own unique list of concentrations. Exams you can take and become certified in. Let's look at the CCNP Enterprise, for example, because I think that will be the most popular track people go down. Let's go check it out. All right, so here I am at the Cisco CCNP certification program page for the new stuff, and we can find out all the new information about what's going on. I have a link below for all this information if you want to dig deep yourself, which I encourage you to at the end of this video, of course. Now, you might be looking at this and going, well, Chuck, you're a freaking liar because there are not 5, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 CCNPs I see. Kind of. I don't count this one in the traditional track. This is more for programmers. It's exciting, it's amazing, and a lot of us might go for it. I might go for it, but we're not talking about that one right now. So let's zero in on the CCNP Enterprise first. Gonna jump in there. So here are the requirements. First, we have the Encore exam. The Technology Core exam is what they call it. Everyone who wants to be CCNP Enterprise must take that exam. And then you choose your own destiny. Thanks, Jason Gooley. We have a choice of 6 concentrations, and you only need to choose one, which is, think about that for a second, guys. This is crazy. That means that if you get your CCNP Enterprise, and you are CCNP Enterprise certified, you're just one type of CCNP Enterprise, because there could be 5 other people who have a different type. So for example, I could say, I want to be the typical CCNP routing and switching god that exists now, right? When you get your CCNP routing and switching, you know a lot about routing and you know a lot about switching. You can do that still. The track for that is you get your Encore, like everyone must, and then you choose your NRC, the advanced routing. So if you choose this one and that one, you're CCNP certified, but you're a CCNP Enterprise that is really focused on routing. But then you might have another person come up, Robert, I'm gonna say Robert here. Robert decides that he really cares about SD-WAN. So he takes his Encore exam, he takes his SD-WAN exam, and suddenly we have a different type of CCNP Enterprise, but they care about SD-WAN. This is insane because now we have 2 people who are CCNP Enterprise, but the knowledge is pretty different between the two. Now, I'll be honest, this does feel weird. Because the old way of doing things, which like I say old, but this is like old 2 weeks ago, is you get your CCNA, and whatever track you wanted to. So it could be routing and switching, it could be security, it could be data center. And that would be the prerequisite to go down the path of getting your CCNP. Routing and switching, security, data center. And then if you were a boss, a beast, you go for that CCIE in the same discipline, right? And this is the way it looks now, but now we kind of spider out in a weird way. And I think it's fascinating. I'm curious to see what happens with our industry. And I say curious, I'm actually really excited too. So now we don't branch out of the CCNA. The CCNA is just one exam, same thing for everybody, and it's not even a prerequisite, but you get your CCNA, and then you choose your CCNP track. So it could be enterprise, it could be security, yada, 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 you get it. But then it's no longer just CCIE, right? There's some stuff in the middle first. Because at the CCNP enterprise level, you can become a different type of enterprise. You can be advanced routing. You can be an SD-WAN person, wireless, automation, which is insane. We'll cover more about that here in a moment, but you can become a different type of CCNP. So it's kind of like spidering out in a weird way now. And then the CCIE. Now, I didn't list all the concentrations here, but just know there are 6. On the CCIE, Enterprise, for example, this is the ultimate beast mode because it covers all of these disciplines. Nuts, right? I mean, it's crazy how they've designed this. I love it, to be honest. I love it. Now, let's talk about automation real quick. Network automation, network programmability has been a huge thing we've been talking about for a long time, but the Cisco certifications have kind of been like, we don't care. They haven't been there. Boy, has that stinking changed, in a big way, too. I think every exam now includes some automation. No matter what track you're going down, you're going to learn some automation. If you choose CCNP Enterprise and you take that technology core exam, there will be automation on that exam. What, you don't believe me? Let's look at it. So let's check out the technology core, just the one that everyone must take if they want to be CCNP Enterprise. I'm going to jump into that Encore exam. And I'll look at the exam topics. Look at this. The last domain, automation. 15% of that exam. That's a lot. That's huge. What's in there? Let's see. So in case you were wondering, the question I asked at the beginning of this video, will there be Python on this exam? I asked Jason Gooley the same question, which Jason Gooley, by the way, is working with Cisco Press to write the book for the Encore exam, among other authors. But look at the first line item here. Interpret basic Python components and scripts. To me, that seems like you're going to have to know some Python at the base level as a network engineer. No matter what you pick as your concentration, you're going to need to know some automation. You're going to have to know some Python. You're going to have to know JSON. You're going to have to know Yang, DNA Center, RESTconf, APIs, Chef, Puppet, Ansible, SaltStack. Just, oh my goodness, bro. It's crazy. And then what's even crazier, and I stinking love this, is if you go back to the concentrations and I look at the automation one right here, which they have a whole concentration just for network automation. If I jump in there and look at that and look at the exam topics, this thing is heavy. You jump in there from the foundation, you get just a bunch of Python stuff. Then you look at APIs. Then you look at device programmability. And then you look at the APIs and how to work with DNA Center, SD-WAN, Meraki. Oh my goodness. And guys, it's not just the enterprise exam. If I jump back and I go to the other CCNP tracks, let's look at the CCNP security. And I'll look at just the core exam. They call it the score. I like that. Look at the score exam and look at the exam topics. It might not jump out at you first because you don't see a specific domain covering automation, but if you open up like security concepts, are you seeing the same thing I see? Look at 1.8, DNA Center APIs. Look at 1.7, north and southbound APIs, and then SDN architecture. Pretty much 7 through 9 are all about programmability. It's happening, people. Okay, I just had to go off on an automation tangent because I'm super stoked about this. Let me know what you guys think. Need more coffee. Now, real quick, I want to talk about the core exam. The technology core for every track you have to go down. If you want to become security, got the security core. Enterprise core. I have 2 issues with that exam. And it's not really 2 issues, it's just 2 interesting thoughts about it. Might be issues, I don't know yet. I haven't figured it out. So first, what is the purpose of the exam? What's it designed for? Both Jason Gooley and Yusuf and Joe tell us a little bit about that.
The other thing I wanted to highlight is we also have put a lot of rigor and thought process in this, that the examples we've been using is CCNP Enterprise, CCNP Security, and 2 exam model. So although we are providing flexibility in choices, we also had to make sure there is some common ground that people can hinge to. Yes. And that common ground is that, let's take an example of enterprise. So what is that common knowledge? If Joe is CCNP Enterprise and I am also a CCNP Enterprise, how do we differentiate ourselves and how do we common ourselves? Yeah. So the hiring manager knows that there are some basic fundamental foundational core body of knowledge that we both know, which is our technology core exam, and then the specialist concentration that, well, Joe is specialized in wireless and Yusuf is specialized in SD-WAN. So we both chose different concentration. But what is hooking us up as a CCNP enterprise is that common ground, which is the technology core knowledge.
And why not be able to say, okay, I have a core foundation, an enterprise core, what we call it now, foundation of, these are all the technologies and skills I need to know from a general whole perspective. And then I can specialize in all these other key areas that might suit me in my day-to-day job tasks, or maybe I want to expand my technology and my experience and go for something a little bit different.
So the exam is a baseline. It's everything you need to know as a security or enterprise or service provider engineer. It's the baseline before you concentrate on something else. The problem I have, this is coming from someone who just finished the CCNP routing and switching, which is 3 exams, and they are hard exams. And one exam is the route. Big book for the route. Study that, took it, hard exam. One exam is the switch, and you study just switching technologies. Smaller book, hard. And then you have the troubleshooting exam where you apply all those things and you apply troubleshooting methodologies, and even bigger book, hard. So my question for Jason Gooley and Yusuf was like, okay, these technology core exams, how can they possibly encompass all of that knowledge? It's a lot. And of course, none of us have seen the exam yet, but the question I asked was, is it going to be a weak exam? Is it going to be watered down coffee? You know, is it not that strong? Which I don't do not strong coffee.
I just finished the CCNP, all the stuff. So like the route book is like this big, the switch book is that big, and the T-shoot book was like this big. And so it was.
And now the enterprise book will be.
It arrives via freight train. Yeah, it's.
Because, I mean, it's like those 3 exams in one.
It really is, and but to a different level. And I think what's important about that is you can't test on everything. Like as much as you want to have a CCIE exam that's 200 hours long and includes absolutely every possible.
Oh gosh, no.
Who
wants that?
Every possible nook and cranny of something you could test on. Nobody. You can't. It's not practical. It's not practical, and that's not what customers' environments are, right? I mean, that's not what you're going to expect. So when you're looking at the CCNP core, it's what are all the core fundamentals that you would need to know in all the different areas that were kind of spread out before, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason that's important is you need to know some routing and switching. You need to know some quality of service. You need to know what EIGRP is and the BGP and the DOGG and the LBC and all these other things that we hear about through our radio stations like Snoop Dogg. But the key of importance is that when we're talking about these new technologies and these new certifications is that you can't expect to go as deep and that wide. You can't. You really can't. So we're trying to round it out and make it so it's simpler for everybody, and then you can choose how deep you want to go and what technology you want to go to. But then by building that baseline I was talking about earlier, you know that if you went for your CCNP core, you're here. You at least have this fundamental knowledge of all of these things.
And the answer was no. They have changed what they think you need to know. So like the Enterprise Core exam includes a lot of technologies that the CCNP routing and switching exams did not cover. There's stuff on wireless and security, things that we would not have gotten in the routing and switching track. So they've redefined and changed what they think an engineer at the MP level needs to know for a baseline in each of those technology tracks. Okay, cool. So that answered my first question problem thing. But my second one is this. What about the jump from CCNA to CCNP? Is there going to be a huge jump when you take your CCNA and you get your CCNA and then you jump to like the technology core exam for the enterprise core? What I mean is, are you going to have enough knowledge to start studying for that? Because if you look at the current tracks now, before the change in 2020, if you wanted to get your CCNP security, well, you go and get your CCNA security. And the knowledge you gained in the CCNA security should be enough to bridge the gap to jump into CCNP security. So you have all the knowledge to start studying the more advanced topics in CCNP security. But if you just get the CCNA, which is baseline knowledge, and you want to jump into CCNP data center and you try to take the data center core exam, is there going to be a large gap of knowledge that you don't have before even starting to study for that core exam? Where do you get that? I think the answer so far, I've asked Yusuf, I've asked Joe, I've asked Jason Gooley. The answer is yes, there will be gaps. There will be. But the answer is that you take additional classes through Cisco to fill that knowledge gap, which I'm not going to do that. And I know a lot of you will not do that. So I think the short answer is there will be some extra self-study you have to do in between that to get yourself ready for that. And I'm sure there will be books and authors. I'm sure the books they write for these core exams will assume that you need that knowledge, the assumed knowledge, right? And they'll fill you in on that and then bring you up to speed on what you need to know. So I'm not too worried about it, but it is interesting that we do have that apparent gap between CCNA and whatever specialization you're going to go down, or track rather.
So what you'll see, and I think this is really important, and in the past it might not have necessarily been exactly this way. There was a path to get to these different certifications, and sometimes the gap between the two would be substantial, right?
Yeah.
Big example for that was in the past was CCNP to CCIE. And there are folks who author books on bridging the gap between, because there is a tremendous amount of gap between what was going on traditionally in the CCNP and the CCIE exam. What you'll start to see with the streamlining of all these different certifications and how they're rolled out and how they apply to each other, that it's, instead of being a gap and looking at it as a gap, it'll be an evolution of what you already know, filling in more deeper gaps that you didn't have.
Now let's circle back and look at these concentration exams. And let's look at the enterprise real quick. And this is one of the things I absolutely love, I adore about the new Cisco certification program. Each one of these concentrations is its own certification. If you go right now and just take the NRC exam, not right now, like 2020. If you're already in 2020, then go take it right now. But if you go and just take the NRC exam and nothing else, you have no other Cisco certification, you become an advanced routing and services specialist. This is a legit certification that you can get, that you'll have an acclaim badge for. You can put on your resume, you can put on LinkedIn, and you can verify that you are an advanced routing person. Without having your CCNP, by the way, without having any other Cisco certification, you can just get that specialist certification. Same thing goes for if you want to jump straight to the SD-WAN concentration. Without any Cisco certification, I'm talking zilch, nada, nothing, you can jump to this exam, take it, and suddenly you're an SD-WAN specialist, a certified SD-WAN specialist. That is awesome. Think about that. You don't have to go through the entire certification track just to verify and certify that you know something.
And now you have the ability to sit back and say, I want to focus on this, and I don't have to take a 4-test exam to be able to get just a little bit closer to that.
This is where the choose your own destiny thing that Jason Gooley described really is hit home for me, and it's amazing. Let me explain. I'll give you an example from my career and where I wish I would have had this. Oh my goodness. So here's my example. So throughout my career, I would have very much considered myself a traditional routing and switching guy. So I was doing CCNP routing and switching things. So naturally, I would want to get that certification. That makes sense, right? Boom. Get it done. But like most engineers, I don't only just work on routing and switching. A firewall project came through and I needed to learn how to do firepower. So I learned it. But what was frustrating for me is I freaking love certifications. I'm a certification junkie. I stinking love it. And it drove me nuts that I could not get certified in firepower. And sure, I could have gone and got my CCNP security to certify myself, but I didn't want to take a bunch of exams, a bunch of information I didn't really care about. I only cared about firepower. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about everything else yet. But that all changes with the new exams, with the concentrations. Check this out. If I go back and look at the security concentrations, without becoming a full-on, CCNP security certified individual, I can cherry pick one exam I want to take. The firepower one, the one I care about. And suddenly, I'm certified in firepower. I'm a firepower specialist. So I take that 300 710 exam, and I'm a firepower specialist just like that. And then maybe we have a new data center project. I need to learn how to implement ACI. I go in here, I pick my certification implementing ACI. I take that exam, suddenly I'm an ACI specialist. And that's all I needed. I didn't need an entire CCNP data center track. I didn't need to take the core exam. I just took the 300 620 exam, and suddenly I am certified in ACI. That's amazing. And this is part of the choose your own destiny rule. I mean, because think about this. Let me erase that to make sure I'm a CCNP enterprise now. It's not routing switching anymore, right? So I'm full on CCNP enterprise, but I went over to the security track and I got some firepower. And then I jumped over to data center and I got some ACI. So now I'm this crazy hybrid engineer that knows a ton of stuff. A lot of us already are that, right? We're just not certified. How many of you work in collaboration, but you're not certified in collaboration? How many of you work in data center, but aren't certified in data center? Now you can pick and choose certain technologies you want to know and certify those. Bam. So cool. So what would you call me at this point? I'm a CCNP enterprise, firepower, and ACI specialist. I love this. I really do. So real quick, I want to address what I said in the beginning of the video. The best way to get your CCNP in 2020 is to have your CCNP before 2020. If you can get your CCNP now, which I believe you can. Right now you have about 7 months from the posting of this video in July. You got 7 months to get your CCNP. I believe you can do it. With the right amount of study, with a good plan, good materials, you can absolutely study from beginning to end, get your CCNP. But let's answer the question as to why. What are some reasons? Well, first I want to cover it's a big win for you. You win big on this. Let's say you go full on beast mode right now and you get your CCNP routing and switching. The win here is in the conversion. If you go into February 2020 and you have the CCNP routing and switching, it will turn into, first of all, you keep this guy. You still have your CCNP routing and switching. So let's say you pass everything you need November 2019. It'll expire November of 2022, right? That's how 3 years works. So you still have your routing and switching CCNP. That doesn't go anywhere. You still have that, own that until it expires. But you inherit the new CCNP Enterprise, which will also expire from the time you took your exam. So November 2022 is when your CCNP Enterprise expires. But wait, that's not all. You also get the Advanced Routing Specialization Certification. That's the conversion. So essentially what we're looking at here is if you do your CCNP right now, you get 3 certifications. You do. I mean, it's not like a trickery or anything. I mean, you still have this guy. You'll get the new CCNP Enterprise, and you'll have the Advanced Routing Specialization. You can put those 3 separate certifications on your resume on LinkedIn. Now, why is that important? Well, for a couple of reasons. First, it's going to be a lot easier to get your CCNP routing and switching right now because all the material has been out for a long time. You have an embarrassing amount of resources to study for the CCNP routing and switching right now. Enterprise, it's going to be new for a while. There will not be a lot of stuff out. Now, there will be stuff coming out, but at the same time, there's a lot more for routing and switching. Tried, tested, and true, you're going to have a lot of stuff you can study right now. Also, going into February 2020, when the new exams change and you can no longer take your routing and switching exam, recruiters aren't going to change that fast. HR departments are not going to change that fast. They're still going to be looking for, if you have CCNP routing and switching on your resume, you'll probably end up showing up more on those recruiters' little search engines they have. And if you have both enterprise and routing and switching, that increases your odds of being found for a job. And that's the whole point of why we're doing this, right? So it makes more sense to me. And this just covers one certification. So like routing and switching, right? If you have data center, or if you want to go for data center, if you want to go for CCNP security, there is a conversion on the Cisco Next Level website. So I have a link below for that. And you can look at, see, oh, well, I have this. What does it turn into? Or, oh, I want to go for this. What does that turn into? You can look at that. Now, what you don't want to do is have a certain number of exams passed, but not quite be there yet, because it'll turn into nothingness, to dust. So, for example, as part of the CCNP routing and switching, if you pass your route exam, but that's the only one you pass going into the new year, you don't get anything, I believe. I mean, you're definitely not getting a CCNP Enterprise. You're not even getting one of the new exams. You just have nothing. Now, on the contrary, though, if you do pass both the route and the switch, you'll get the new Technology Core exam, or certification, which is one half of the new CCNP. So you'll still end up winning a little bit there. But if you got all 3, if you got T-Shoot as well, well then, man, you get 3 certifications. That's just a win, so do that. Just do that. If you need help with that, we're here to help. I've got a list of resources below for your CCNP, routing, switching, data center security. If you're going for that, we've got the resources, videos, books, labs. You can do this. Trust me. Will it take work? Yeah. Is it hard? Yeah. Is it impossible? No. You've got this. Now, what about recertification? How do you renew your CCNP? They've also changed that a lot. I'll let Joe and Yusuf tell you a bit about that.
And that helps you in your recertification.
Exactly.
Because that is what the modularity helps, that you don't need to be in your same swim lane. When you already are CCNP certified, we want you to expand your knowledge and your skills, but not necessarily in the same swim lane. That's where you can jump swim lanes and learn some new technologies or different technologies depending on your job role, and you can accumulate that requirement to recertify.
So Firepower, which is security based, will recertify like a enterprise
CCNP
version.
Enterprise.
It will
Yeah.
contribute to that. So now in CCNP, just like CCIE today, will offer continuing education credits that you can start earning starting February 24th. In that example, if I was CCNP Enterprise and I said, well, I'm doing Firepower now, I go and I can take the training for Firepower, and then I can take the exam, the concentration exam for Firepower. That would recertify my CCNP Enterprise. If I just did the training alone or I just did the exam, I would need to do some additional activities in order to recertify. But the point is, as you move forward, as your career progresses, as your passion or your what you want to do changes, the modularity is there to help support that and give you the recognition for those accomplishments.
Now, for recertification, if I have like 4 of the specialties, I'm just really a boss, and do I renew all of those every time I get one more?
You do. Yeah. So if a specialist also will now count for continuing education and for this exam recert. So if you have your level boss mode and you've got all 4
That's
of
an
those
official certification.
4 of those concentrations, let's say you've got enterprise automation, enterprise advanced infrastructure, Firepower, and
ACI.
ACI. Great. And you say, you know what? I'm going to get some my collab on. I'm going to go and do something, a concentration in collab. You'll get that new specialist, and it will recertify all your specialists at that level. And then you can do some additional continuing education or another concentration, and that would complete the renewal of your CCNP enterprise.
Oh. So that is the new CCNP. I think it's amazing. 5 tracks. Each of the tracks has like different routes you can go down. It really is a choose your own adventure kind of thing. They kind of gamified it. One thing I did ask Yusuf and Joe was if you got all of the concentrations, all the specialization certs within one track, what happened? And they kind of said this.
Now, is there a benefit to earning every specialist certification? Like, is there like a label you'll have within one given track, or is that just going to be the CCIE?
No, there's no. We don't have. There's no like hidden Easter
like
egg that
CCP.
you unlock.
You unlock.
You unlock.
That would be amazing.
You unlock like wizard mode or
secret
something.
level
Yeah.
So they said there's no Easter eggs or anything. You don't uncover anything. But it is interesting to note that if you want to go for your CCIE, you need to know everything within those tracks. So as you're studying for the CCIE, if that's your goal to become CCIE Enterprise or Security, it only makes sense to acquire those specializations along the way to both prove that you know it with the certification and also gain the knowledge to get your CCIE. So what am I going for? What am I excited about? Because clearly I'm kind of viewing this as a Pokemon scenario. I want to catch them all. I want to collect them all. I want everything. But starting out, I think my big focus will be automation, without a doubt. I did a poll online. I did a poll on Twitter and YouTube. First, I asked people, what track are you going to go down? And it was interesting. For Twitter, most people said I want to go down the CCNP Enterprise track. But on YouTube, which I got a lot more votes on, most people want to go down the CCNP Security track. That's interesting, right? And then looking at the CCNP Enterprise, I asked people, which concentration are you going to choose? It seems that a lot of people still love the CCNP routing and switching mentality, so most of them chose the NRC, the advanced routing. So we're still going to have the typical routing and switching individual out there because a lot of people want to become that person. The demand for that person is really high. But then second place was the automation specialization. I imagine a lot of people are going to go for both. They're going to get the NRC and then they're going to get the automation. I will automatically inherit the NRC, and then I'll be going for the automation, without a doubt. What are you going to go for? What are you excited about? I'm curious. Let me know below. Now, another big question is, how do I start studying for these things right now? I mean, we had the exam topics up there, the exam objectives. So you can go look right now. Link below, cisco.com/next level. You can look at the exam objectives and know, hey, that's going to be on the exam. But where are the official materials? Where are the Cisco Press books? They are coming out. I mean, Cisco Press has already released a release date for some books, like CCNA, the Enterprise Core. I think will be released sometime in November or maybe early next year. Jason Gooley, by the way, is producing that. But the answer right now, of course, is you're going to have to wait for official material. And then, of course, I work at CBT Nuggets, and we'll be producing content for that. We'll be having video series covering not every one of them, but a lot of them, and maybe one day all of them. But my advice for you, don't wait. I mean, we've been talking about automation for a long time. If you look at the exam objectives, like, for example, the Enterprise Core or the automation, some of the technologies like routing, switching, security, there's already books out there for it, right? It may not be in one clearly formatted, defined book that has everything, but you have to go out there and find a few things yourself, right? There's documentation, there's blogs, there's books, there's videos. And then on the automation portion, there's books on automation. No, these books were not written for a certification, but they were written with automation in mind. And so if you want to learn Python scripts and network automation and Yang and JSON and how to interpret JSON, you can do that. You can learn that right now. And that's what I encourage anyone to do when they're studying for an exam. Go look at the exam topics. Look at that line. When it says, know how to interpret Python scripts, well, go learn that. Go look for an article on that. Go to the Cisco DevNet. Cisco DevNet has so many things to learn some programmability. In fact, Hank Preston's Network Programmability Foundations course covers a lot of that. So there's stuff out there so you can start now. Start now. I'm starting now. That's what I'm doing. I'm not waiting. Well, anyways, guys, that is about it. This might have been a long video. I'm not sure. I never know at the end when I'm recording this if it's going to be long. If it's long, I apologize. If you like that, let me know. And yeah, so brew your coffee. Keep studying. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking around and subscribing. If you haven't already, if you like what you see here, if you like coffee and networking and IT, I invite you to subscribe, join the team, and yeah, that's about it. I'll catch you guys later.